Welcome to Better Police Reports. I'm Jean Reynolds. Today's topic is avoiding excessive wordiness. In 2010, Congress passed the Plain Writing Act, and the President signed it. This law requires federal employees to write federal documents with plain sentences and ordinary words. Now, you may be thinking, with all the challenges the U.S. is facing, why are we passing a law about how you write a sentence? But it makes sense when you think about it. Garbled sentences and excessive words waste time and cause confusion, and that adds up to money. And here's something else to think about. Many of you watching this video might be promoted someday, and that means you're probably going to be writing to people outside of law enforcement, government officials, and community leaders. Are they going to understand you? So the time to work on plain writing is now. And plain writing has become very popular across the United States in both the private and public sectors. Now, as a law enforcement officer, you don't come under the Plain Writing Act. It's only for federal employees. So you don't have to worry that somebody's going to put handcuffs on your wrists because of a sentence you wrote. But efficiency and clarity are always useful. And I've got a story that I think illustrates the point very well, even though it's about drawing rather than writing. Some of you may be familiar with the Dennis the Menace comic strip. It was created by a wonderful artist named Hank Ketchum, and he based the comic strip on his own family. He was married to a woman named Alice, and she became Alice, Dennis's mother in the strip. And he really did have a son named Dennis who was kind of a menace. But Hank Ketchum made one change when he created the comic strip. In real life, Alice was a brunette, and he made her a blonde. And one time he explained why. He drew Alice many, many times. And by making her a blonde, he didn't have to color in her hair. In those days, newspapers printed comic strips in black and white. So there was just a white space where her blonde hair would have been. So that efficiency makes a great deal of sense. A word here, a word there, it adds up over a year and over a career. I'm going to be giving you 3 principles today about avoiding excessive wordiness. Principle number 1, focus on the words that are doing the work and eliminate the words that aren't. So, for example, the suspect was wearing a jacket that was green in color. The working word there is green. In color adds nothing. Get rid of it. I questioned the above-mentioned suspect. The working word there is suspect. Get rid of above-mentioned. The neighbors returned to their respective houses. The working word there is houses. Respective doesn't add anything. In fact, I wish Congress would pass a law outlawing the word respective. It's usually a useless word, and it's just clutter. All right. Principle number 2 is to avoid repetition. And I have an example for you from an actual police report that is very well written, but I think some of the repetition could be avoided. You may remember the case. It's a sad one. In 2014, a young man named Elliot Rodger went on a killing rampage. He killed 6 people, he wounded 14, and then he killed himself. Subsequent investigations show that Elliot Rodger probably started planning the murder the previous year after a party he went to that was a very painful experience for him. He felt that people taunted him at the party. A fight broke out, police were called, and it seems that the anguish over this party started him onto the path to this terrible murder. The police report, as I said, is really well written. No arrest was made, but this officer did a very careful job of finding out what happened and talking to everyone. The interview with Elliot, though, is kind of repetitious. I'm going to read it to you, and notice how it keeps saying, I asked, I asked, I asked. I asked Rodger how much alcohol he had been drinking when the altercation began, and he said, "I drank 2 beers." I asked Roger why he had been attacked and called a faggot, and he said, "I don't know why." I asked Roger why he didn't call law enforcement after he was assaulted, and he said, "I didn't know who to call." So the working words in that interview are what Roger told the officer. And the questions don't need to be there. So I'm going to show you how it could have been rewritten more efficiently. When I questioned Roger, he said he drank 2 beers. He didn't know why he had been called a faggot. He didn't call police because he didn't know who to call. So there's all the information that you need. The report could also have been written in bullet style, which is going to be the subject of a future video. All you do is make a list. Very simple. You've been making lists all your life, and these little dashes are called bullets. When I questioned Roger, he told me he drank 2 beers. He didn't know why he had been called a faggot. He didn't call the police because he didn't know who to call. I want to make one more point here before we go on to your third principle. You never know when a report is going to hit the national news. This was the kind of fight that happens all the time. Nobody thought much of it. As I said, nobody got hurt. No arrest was made. And yet the following year, this was national news. Just something to think about. All right, your third principle is to use specific words rather than general words whenever you can. And there are 2 reasons for this. One, it's consistent with what you're trying to do with a police report. Just the facts, ma'am. So don't say residence, say house. Okay? The other reason is that usually specific words are shorter. So it's not a physical altercation. It's a fight. She answered in the affirmative is wordy. She said yes. Criminal justice is full of these expressions that are longer than they have to be, and very often you can find a shorter, more efficient substitute. For example, I met with the mayor for the purpose of planning the event. I met with the mayor to plan the event. In the event of snow, we'll call out emergency equipment. If it snows, we'll call out emergency equipment. Due to the fact that can become because. There are many expressions like this in criminal justice. My book, Criminal Justice Report Writing, has a whole section in the back that lists these words, that lists shorter alternatives, and also gives you exercises so you can try writing more concisely yourself. And then there's an answer key in the back so you can check your understanding. The book is available in paperback and ebook editions. It's inexpensive, and you can see a free sample at www.amazon.com. You might also be interested in my website, www.yourpolicewrite.com, which has many tips about writing efficiently. And something you might really be interested in, I have a blog post about the Elliot Rodger police report. There's a link to the actual report so you can read it yourself. It's excellent. And then you can read my comments about it. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching.